Good morning, world. Yes, we are still at home. This is the look of my face right now is the look of absolute frustration, but nothing I can do about it. So, and I'm always one to preach that too. No sense of whining, right? You lose that huge fish in the boat. No sense of crying about it. Just get the line back in the water and deal. Can't do anything about it. You missed that big moose. You missed that big buck. Whatever. But yeah, real bad luck yesterday. So, great people, these people I have who work on my vehicles when I need work done. If I can't do it, great, honest, good people. But unfortunately, the one mechanic, I guess he has, it's unfortunate, it's happened a few times now in the past few years. I needed a fuel pump a few years ago. They put it in and I left. Got on the ferry, left. Up in the mountains, I noticed diesel spilling out of the top of my fuel tank on my hunting trip. They put it in wrong. And then finally got back there, and I said there's something wrong with my fuel pump. And they could have, I guess it's a bit of a job getting the fuel tank out and everything. And they replaced it, and he said right away, well, it was our fault, when I knew it was their fault. And as soon as he did that, I went, that's my mechanic, right? They fixed it up. But it was after a couple of goes with that fuel pump, them getting a new fuel pump into that one mechanic, I don't know. Because at another time they said it was all ready to go, and Sarah and I left, and we had to go to the hospital for something. And that truck died in the entrance to a hospital. I had to get a tow truck because they screwed up putting the fuel pump in. Get this one. I wanted them to go over the whole truck before we went on our 2-day ride up north, so I took it in there the other day. And because I noticed my fuel gauge was coming and going, I guess it's some module might be failing. It's failing, electrical thing. But in the meantime, he asked permission to remove the fuel tank, to have a look to make sure the pump and everything is in order. I'm like, okay, no problem. Meanwhile, I haven't had a problem with this truck. I've been taking this sucker everywhere with absolute confidence for the past over a year. And then we got the truck. We've been working so hard, so diligently, so hard. We're both absolutely, even went to the feed store the other day, and the lady goes, man, you guys both look exhausted. Working so hard to ensure that we can get up there with this trip we look forward to for the whole year. And I feel it's very important I get there for opening morning for elk season, because I know it's one particular spot. If I get there first, I know I'm going to get a bull every year. It's very important to me. I hate missing out. I hate being late. And I hate working towards a goal and the goal getting smashed from something out of my control. It's very frustrating for me. But anyway, we left the Friday of the beginning of the September long weekend. We had the farm sitter lined up coming over from the mainland on the ferry. All the animals fed, ready to rip. Drove there, and the motor I noticed the motor hesitated a little bit with fuel. I was like, huh? What was that about? And then we got to the toll booth to get onto the ferry boat to get to mainland British Columbia. And the truck died 60 meters shy of the toll booth for the BC ferries. With a trailer behind it, with a quad on it. And there we were, sitting there with a reservation that was hard to get, ready to go, stop dead. So, and I knew right away it's the fuel pump. So when they removed the fuel tank to check things out, they did something to my new fuel pump. Anyway, $700 tow later, flat deck tow with the truck on top, and they put the trailer behind the truck. Had to go to my place here, drop the trailer off, got our guns and all the shit out of the truck. Took it to the mechanic. Nobody is overly chatful with me. And there it sits, and here we are. And meanwhile, this is the September long weekend. There's a huge annual fishing derby going on right now, and the road's closed due to the forest fire. Can't get out to the boat. And all my friends with boats or a way out there are already out there. So here we sit at home. September long weekend. Can't do nothing. Don't know when I'm going to get my truck back. Can't get in the fishing derby, and I'm getting hounded. Where are you? What are you doing? You got to be kidding me. But anyway, there you go, you guys. There's my story. Very, very unfortunate. It's a hard pill for me to swallow. Oh man, is that a hard pill for me to swallow. And they don't work weekends. So I don't even know when we can leave or go. There you go. So here we are again, back in the cave. But Sarah's all positive. She's like, it's okay. Things happen for a reason. Maybe we were going to get in a car accident on the way up or something, and we got diverted. I'm like, she's a true angel, isn't she? Usually I'm the one that has to pump up the jam, and keep everybody positive. Tough pill to swallow. Now, but I can get voices heard. That's what I'm going to do. And after that, I'll figure something out. Now, what's this? Unread email from the people. The strongest voice in the world. The people. Should be, anyway. Tree snap, beings and dreams. Fresh off the press. Hello, Steve. Feel free to use the names. My name is Graham, and I've just had a baby girl. I'm very thankful for your channel, as it has gotten me through many sleepless nights knowing I am acquiring knowledge for the safety of my family and to help give to my daughter one day. All right, those are great words, man. And congratulations. Today I was listening to, quote, a woman from Australia shares a lot, end quote, and was compelled to rewrite my experiences when she began speaking of the astral projections. I hope you have not already read my email, as it was sent a while ago, and would not be offended if you stopped reading it, lol. Here it goes. These encounters happened with my best friend Jack, and we're 25 years old now, and the encounters happened when we were 15 and 19. The dreams happened when I was 22, in quick succession to one another. It took a while to piece everything together, with many memories suddenly appearing or aha moments from your videos. The first encounter happened when we were 15 and camping in the Mountain Bridge Wilderness area on the border of North and South Carolina. We were camping on the edge of a small stream when, during the night, I awoke to heavy footsteps outside the tent that Jack and I were in. I thought it was my father or the other adult, but I could hear them snoring in the tent nearby, and I became frozen with fear. I must have dozed off before I knew it, because before I knew it, I heard the birds chirping in the faint glow of morning. Later, I talked to Jack about it, and he said he was also frozen with fear inside the tent, as something on 2 feet lurked around outside. The second encounter was August 2019, about 2 miles up the mountain from where we had camped 4 years prior. We had a great day of brook trout fishing and decided to take the more rugged trail on the way back to the car. This trail paralleled the creek before it went up the side of the mountain. About an hour up the trail, I heard an "oh shit" from my buddy near the front of the group. I was making up the back and hurried to the front to see what the commotion was about. And I got to what appeared to be a rock, but what sat there motionless was a timber rattlesnake in the middle of the trail. He said my buddy in the front stepped directly over the friggin' thing, missing its head by inches. We all gathered around the snake, and it lay there seemingly frozen. No rattling, no open mouth. As we were observing the snake, the loudest crack I ever heard nearly made me jump out of my skin. As all of us turned heads behind us to look at it, we saw a massive 50-foot dead tree fall around 30 yards behind us. I quickly whipped my head around to see how the snake reacted, but it was still frozen. I heard rustling in the creek bottom directly in front of me, and as I looked up, something on all fours shot up the other side of the creek at a very steep incline. It was covered in white/peppered gray hair with a broad proportionate back like a rectangle. No visible ears, tail, or any distinguishing features. And its size didn't startle me, as it appeared to only be 4 to 5 feet in length, about the size of black bears in the area. I was dumbfounded at the sheer speed of it, and the fact it seemingly disappeared after reaching the first tree it passed. I exclaimed, "Did anyone see that?" Excuse me. But no one responded. and a deep chill suddenly crept over the group, and the silence of the forest was unbearable. We decided to get the hell away from that snake/tree fall and continue up the mountain. Jack and I recounted events to each other some years later, still unsure of what we saw, and this is how events happened from his perspective. After the "oh shit," everyone gathers around wondering why the snake didn't bite the guy in front and is laying unmoving on the trail. The huge tree snaps up on the slope where we had just come from. Time kind of stopped for me at this point, and I've never felt more aware of my surroundings, completely in tune with the environment, and I see the blur of a dark figure, seemingly on two legs, run up the side of the mountain we were on, running from the tree that snapped. It seemed that thing forcibly snapped that tree and ran away soon after. When Jack told me his side of the story, chills went up my spine. We had seen two different beings, and it all clicked at once, as we had been watching your channel for years, but had never connected the dots. Steve, I truly believe my friend would have gotten bitten by that snake if those sabe were not in the area. It would have been disastrous, as we were 4 hours from the trailhead in either direction. It was such an unusual experience, and every person was creeped out by it. And now the dreams. The first dreams began in 2021. In the dream, we were playing hide and seek, which suddenly took a dark turn as we were actually hiding from a sabe. I was clinging to the side of a cliff, holding on for dear life, when I suddenly thought, I hope it doesn't hurt my hands. And as if reading my thoughts, a brown sabe appeared and bit my fingers, and I fell. I woke in a cold sweat. In the second dream, a large group of us were observing a boulder near a swamp. You didn't see it? I heard. And as I looked harder, I could see a black sabe, far away, approaching the group. Run! It came from within my head, and as I turned tail to run, I could not move my legs and could hear it approaching me from behind. This was the worst feeling I've ever experienced in my life. In a dream, world, or reality. The dream then shifted to a tent, and it felt like I was surrounded by family and good intentions, as what I perceived to be an old man I had never seen before gave me a look of amusement and exited the tent. And as I woke, I told myself, I will not run next time. The third dream occurred in May/June of 2022. I felt the presence of my dad around a campfire where we had camped to go fly fishing. I could see a white and brown figure in the tree line, to which I only whispered, Dad, to alert him they were there. And suddenly they appeared in front of me, and the presence of my father was gone. The white one stood in front and towered over me, as I am 6'8". Holy shit! And my eyes were at its belly. Whoa. I did not feel any bad intention from this white being and thought to myself, wow, you've grown. Seemingly knowing it was the sabe from that day in 2019 that I saw. I began to feel myself vibrate as my eyes traveled up its body to meet its gaze. However, I could not make out the face, as it was distorted. And looking back, I probably would have lost my shit meeting its eyes. Finally, the vibration became too high, and I awoke. Steve, probably the most astonishing part of it all was logging onto YouTube, and your next two videos were about dreams and their connections. I mentioned myself saying, I will not run next time, as well as my, I hope nothing hurts my hands, because I believe our consciousness greatly affects our dreams. It saddens me to hear about people tormented by their own dreams within their mind, and I wanted to help some of these people by saying, your mindset directly affects your surroundings. I believe I thought something bad would happen to my hands, so it did. And I told myself I would not run when I awoke, so the next dream I did not. And my message to everyone out there is that we have power over our own minds. And the words you say while awake can greatly affect your inner reality. Hope this helps someone out there. Thank you for your time, Steve, Graham, and Jack. Graham, appreciate the email, man. Appreciate that you care about everybody, too. To share what you feel may or may not help somebody. And that's huge. That's what this place is about, right, man? Fully appreciate that. And it's true. It's true. Everything we say out loud is power. This superhero lady's cracked that one open to me a little more clearer, and I believe that as true. One thing I've learned, though, in my lifetime, whatever you think about the most, the thoughts you keep between your ears, it all comes true. It's very, very true. The power of our minds is unbelievable, and we're not taught it. Well, we weren't when I was growing up anyway. Maybe things have changed. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be changing for the better, but hopefully we are here, right? Have I read this? I don't think so. Here's another email titled Florida Black Panther. Hi, Steve. Call me Carmichael. I just came across your channel and was surprised to hear you mention black panthers in the southeast U.S. Around the mid-1990s, I was in the U.S. military and lived on a base in the panhandle of Florida. Late one night around 0200, my pit bull started growling at the back door. I tried to get past him and he blocked my path. After I got him out of the way, I hit the porch light and opened the back door. And about 30 feet away from me in my fenced backyard was a black panther. It froze and just looked at me. I closed the door and promised to always listen to my dog in the future. Again in the 90s, before dawn, I was getting out of my truck to go hunt, very close to a large wood pile. While I was grabbing my rifle and my pack and my tree stand, I heard big trees snapping behind the wood pile. I didn't think anything of it, figuring a black bear was making noise behind the pile of logs. I walked into the woods and set up my tree stand. I was out for about 4 to 5 hours, and I did not see or hear a thing the entire time. After listening to your stories, it makes me wonder if it was a bear at all. Keep up the good work. Okay, man, appreciate that. The Black Panther thing's really got my attention because somebody who I trust absolutely lives in the south of the U.S., seen one in Tennessee. And but what's frustrating, not frustrating, but what's a curious thought for me, got stuff in my eyes, is why I haven't seen a trail camera photo of a black panther yet. Now, unless maybe possibly, I don't know, maybe these black panthers are coming across through a thin veil where some other beings are coming across, maybe, and they're not susceptible to being caught on our primitive trail cameras. Might be, maybe a possibility, I don't know. Because wildcats in North America are easily caught on trail cameras, and it's been done thousands of times. But I do not believe, unless somebody wants to send me a link or send me the photo of a black panther caught on trail camera in North America. I would love to see that, wouldn't you? I've seen some videos and some photos people have sent in saying, we saw this big black cat, and you take one glance at it, it's a black house cat. In the distance, without a doubt. You can tell by the body size to its surroundings. But anyway, does anybody have a trail camera of a black panther in North America? Please send it to me. I want to see it. If I lived in the South full time, I'd probably make it a goal to get a black panther on a trail camera because I know how to do it. I know how to hunt. I know how to get predators especially. I'd love that challenge. What else do we got? Lots of voices. Interdimensional, cloaked, Nephilim attacks is the title of this email. Hi, Steve. It's me again, James. This is the third encounter that was within the years I spent in Northern California during my recovery after my horrible accident. Even injured, I figured out a way to get out into the woods and rebuild myself with the natural world. This alleviated a lot of mental stress and difficulties I faced in recovery. A lot of people would look at me and say, "You don't look like you have any injuries yet." They had no understanding of the internal, mental, and physical damage I dealt with. It's interesting that both of my encounters in that area were during times that I was fox hunting at night. I know what a gray fox sounds like, and it's spooky. I've had them bark/scream in the bushes right next to my truck, and it'll make your hair stand up on the back of your neck. Yes, I was familiar with the sounds of most creatures in the woods at night, so it would have to be really weird for me to get alarmed. One night, me and another friend of mine were fox hunting below Whiskey Town Lake in Northern California. I didn't know it at the time, but came to realize there were Indian burial grounds down in that canyon from where we were hunting. This is a massive complex of huge cave networks in those areas, but I didn't know that at the time. Actually, there have been Sasquatch sightings there, as I have recently found out about. We were fox hunting at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we had made many different stands that night. I mean, locations or spots we would set up and call for 20 minutes or so. We drove down off the main highway a few miles down a dirt road underneath the dam and pulled off the side of the road to set up. We would often put a tape recorder on a small amplifier to the top of the truck and stand at the back waiting for the pitter-pat of a fox moving through the leaves. I know most of the normal sounds in the night, and there are many of them. Also, I will describe to you that there is also a hidden sound in the woods when there is peace. It's something that my primal core resonates with. It's a HZ quality or a frequency of sound that is peaceful and non-threatening. I've known this most of my life, and I've been in tune with this surrounding HZ as if it's a built-in God-given barrier of protection. Having spent most of my life in the woods, I know this to be true, as many times upon entering the woods from society, it took me 3 to 4 days to get my mind clear and my aura right to be able to actually hunt and be one with my surroundings. Those out of tune to this discipline cannot comprehend this, but those that have been there and done that know what I'm talking about. It's almost an unexplainable sound that takes place upon entering the woods, and it is not there, and something else replaces it. You know it. We call it the uh-oh or chicken skin syndrome. It doesn't even necessarily have to be eyes watching me to give me this awareness. It is just in a realm all to itself. You either know it or you don't. The reason you feel eyes on you, or the feeling of being watched, is because you're in a level of senses called the sixth sense. Beyond that is a different understanding of hearing what is not audible. This, I believe, is what dogs and animals can perceive, and humans used to be able to perceive. Sadly, humans have been and are being perverted and corrupted with artificial sound waves. When people say they had mind speak to them, I guess this would be in that realm of understanding. You just know upon entering into the woods there should be a certain sound there, even if it's not heard. It's the unheard sound of peace and protection that affects your inner spirit. It's there, whether good or bad. I found a good spot to park with enough clearing around us that we could see an approaching fox. I stepped out of the truck, got back in, got in the back, and got my gun ready. My buddy was standing next to me as I pushed play on the recorder. The canyon below us is quite a ways off to the bottom, and we are kind of up on the hillside. It seemed to me 1,000 yards, 500 yards, I can't quite remember. Like usual, the sound echoed through the darkness, and on most occasions you would hear a coyote howl or an owl hoot, a fox bark, or various night birds would call out. But there was sometimes the disturbance in the leaves of a deer as it would jump up and bound away. It was just those natural sounds of the woods that we were familiar with, yet, on this night, it all changed. I heard the echoes of the fox call, and they seemed to go on forever. The sound seemed as if it turned into a voice of someone. At first I thought it was creepy because the sounds of the dying rabbit on the recorder seemed way too amplified as it went into the dark canyon. As I sat there listening, it immediately creeped me out. It was as if it was sound magnification. This is unusual to me, as I have done this hundreds of times and in many locations. I strained my eyes in the darkness to see the look on my friend's face. He had the same bizarre look of strange feelings written all over him. And I specifically remember the clarity of the sky and the beauty of the stars shimmering everywhere above us. I remember whispering to myself that it was probably not a very good night to fox call, as it seemed to be calm and clear. It was like a dead zone. I said to my friend, "This is really weird. I didn't like the way this area feels." I was trying to buy it some time to maintain my composure, but my inner being was screaming, "Get the hell out of here." I wanted to jump out of the truck, get inside, start it, and leave. It was as if I couldn't move. I tried to maintain my composure and minimize the intensity I was feeling within by whispering calmly. We were shoulder to shoulder, staring into the darkness, and I whispered, "I will play one more series on the recorder. If we don't have any action, we will go." I pushed play again on the recorder, and the sound echoed even louder than the first time. I immediately stopped it, as I didn't like the way it made me feel. I was uncomfortable and uneasy at this moment, and said to my friend, "I think we should go." My mouth was dry when I said the words because of the adrenaline. Now, mind you, there was no wind, there were no clouds, and there was no sound in the woods. I said to him, "I think we should go." And he shook his head in agreement, with a look of concern in his eyes. At that moment, a very faint vibration sound started coming into my ears from way down the canyon. And it's super hard for me to describe the sound that I heard. But what it sounded like was if you said, "wah, wah, wah." Oh, like a muffled helicopter, but slower at first. Wah, 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 woo. Over and over, repeating it, and then it sped up into an extremely fast form of vibration with a wind as it came toward us. It was extremely loud and boisterous as it made contact with us. The vibration and the whirring came on a straight course to us from where I'd heard it. It got louder and louder as it started approaching us from below, and I can't emphasize this enough. Extreme whirring. If you heard the didgeridoo of the indigenous people of Australia, that's what it kind of reminded me of at first. It reminded me also of the cultures that would be It reminded me also of the cultures that would tie a stone onto a rope and swing it in a fast circle around and around to create a vibration that would travel in sound waves for miles and could be heard by other tribes. I'm not familiar with what that's called, but me and my brothers used to do it with a lariat rope and our slings when we were younger. It's a vibration whirring sound. It started very small and grew second by second as it came toward us. It came in a straight line as if it went right through the both of us with such force that I can't describe it other than this. It first seemed to be a sound that later turned into a very fierce wind that rocked our truck and shook us around and put us out of balance. Wow. It created a circle of wind around the truck. And as I write this just now, the hair just stood up on my whole body. I'm moved at this from 30 years ago. Steve, this energy knocked our hats off, and then circled us and then went past us up the mountain. It seemed to go about 1,000 yards beyond us, and lessened in both vibration and movement and sound. I remember hanging onto the back of my truck as everything was rocking and shaking. No, it wasn't an earthquake, yet it felt like an earthquake fell from the sky. I have no understanding still of how fast it came upon us. When it seemed that it was almost out of hearing, it came down the mountain from above us again and straight through us. You may ask, why in the hell did we not get in the truck by then? I couldn't, as I was frozen. I was foggy in my mind, and it was as if I couldn't move prior to it happening. And also, now in the moment of it happening, my intuition told me to leave prior to it coming, but I didn't listen, and now I was caught in the middle of it. We could not leave the truck bed, but felt stuck and trapped while we stood there in complete terror. I recall trying to move as if I wasn't scared, I recall trying to move as if I wasn't scared, kind of cool, so as not to show alarm. No commas. My friend's eyes, though, were absolutely popping out of his eyeballs in fear. I was a strong believer in Christ for soul protection in those days and felt that I had God's protection over me in almost every situation. Yet at this moment, I could have vomited because of the adrenaline that I received from that vibration. It went through us once coming up from the canyon and then passed through us uphill. A few moments later, it then came back down and went through us the second time. Steve, was absolutely indescribably terrifying. I'm 6'1". Then in those days, 230 pounds are pretty much mountain muscle. My doctors said that was part of what kept me alive through my horrific accident. Even though riddled with injuries, I still have a strong body to this day. All by the grace of God. I'm still blessed to be able to move fluidly through the mountain to hunt, trap, and do hard things then and now. God gave me a resilient spirit to overcome mental, physical, painful obstacles. I don't scare very easy, but this terrified me. I remember being stuck in the back of my truck, not being able to move my feet. Now, I have studied the old world history of the FASC, F-A-S-C-E, of the FAS. I don't know if you've ever read about that technology, but the more I have read about it, the more I understand the old technology to use vibration to cause floods and rain and other things. Mud, flood, and Tartarian history is available to study. After I was hit with the two vibration of wind and energy, I realized I had to get in the truck and leave now. I said, let's get out of here now. We were both moving kind of in slow motion, stumbled frenzy. I got in the truck and it was instantly pouring down rain. I tried to start it and it wouldn't start. This was a brand new engine, new battery, and in excellent condition. I was almost dumbfounded that it wouldn't start and I panicked. Steve, I'm telling you, it was an immediate downpour of water running under the truck so much that I was slipping around on the road trying to get my hood up to see what was the matter with my engine. In a panic, I was yelling at my buddy to try to start it. I was in a stupor of sorts, looking at hoses and electric lines and messing around with things. I was so foggy. It was like I didn't even know what I was doing. It wouldn't start, and I was getting soaked. It felt like I was numb in the mind and electrically drained in the body. From the first part of the sound coming to us and then getting out of the truck to check what was wrong with the engine, it didn't seem like more than 1 minute. And I asked, how long does it take for you to get out of the bed and into the cab? I realize now that I had a major loss of time. It's taken me years and your channel to figure this out. Steve, I really want to stress this. I felt like I was in a stupor and major confusion overtook me. The Bible says the devil is the author of confusion. There's no possible way for me to clearly explain this. How that, on a crystal clear night with no wind, it could turn into a downpour in less than 1 minute. I'm still baffled by this. It still gives me the creeps and chicken skin. I struggled to get the battery in the truck to operate because it was dead. I can't remember how long I struggled on the battery cables, but finally my truck started. I've been praying the whole time that God would get me out of there. I was so relieved. I knew that I had only come in on one road down and one road back to the top. It would be easy. I'd just turn my truck around and drive back to the top of the main road. I couldn't. I didn't. I was lost. I actually had to put it in four-wheel drive because of the amount of mud and rain on the road. I didn't want to get to put the hubs in, but I had to. Get out. I think he meant get out. I had to put in four-wheel drive. To get up and out of there. Steve, I was surrounded in complete mist and fog of darkness. The rain was pouring down in sheets. Water was running down the muddy road. And the moment I realized I was lost and going down the wrong roads, turning around and almost wrecked my truck because of panic, was when I knew that I was in trouble. At one point, my friend was sitting next to me in a panic-stricken state in silence. Then at another point, he was yelling, "Get the F out of here! What the F was that? What the F was that? What the F was that?" Just screaming. Then he said, "I want to go home. Get me home. I need to go home." I was desperate and terrified because I had no explanation. I knew that I must go up to the top of this little winding mountain road, so I blindly started driving up a road. And all of a sudden, I popped out on the pavement. When I opened my door, and with my window wiper still going, I jumped out on the pavement. There was mud and water dripping off my truck, and mud all over my boots. Water was still dripping onto the pavement, and I thought it was strange because the pavement was dry. I immediately looked up to the sky, expecting clouds and rainstorm and lightning, and it was crystal clear. Not a cloud in the sky, not a breath of wind. Steve, I'm telling you, I've kept this with me my entire life and never had really any explanation of this anomaly or what I was in. The truth is that the buddy of mine that was there never hunted with me again. Our relationship also was never the same. As I took him home, he was continually saying, "What the F was that?" He broke down many times, and I was also on the verge. We definitely both had the deer in the headlights look. Not only did we never hunt again, but our relationship separated, and I've never spoken to him since. I was so troubled by this encounter that I called my dad and asked him for his spiritual advice, as he was a preacher for 60 years before he passed a couple years ago, on the subject. I called him up and met him at a hamburger joint so we could talk. I was so thankful for that discussion as it alleviated some of the emotional strain of that event. My dad related to me at that time how that one of his good bear hunting buddies that was afraid of nothing called him and asked him if he believed in evil spirits. My dad said yes, and gave him some biblical advice, etc. This man quickly sold all of his dogs, his house, quit his job, and moved away. Never hunted bears again. I often wonder what happened. I know now. Basically, my dad called my encounter evil spirits that came possibly from the graveyard or the old Indian burial grounds. I kind of settled the matter a little bit at that point, but not entirely. Almost 30 years later, though, after watching your shows and listening to the comments, I have come to the conclusion that I had a major encounter that night with a Sasquatch. Actually, a bow hunter friend of mine related a story of seeing one within a short distance from my encounter. He said it was massive, approximately 10 feet. He and a friend saw it stand head and shoulders above an oak tree. Also, another friend had an encounter at the bottom of that same canyon that will give you the chills. I'll save that for another time. Steve, I do not believe that one has to actually see one to know one. I just did not have the tools of understanding to express what it actually was and what actually was happening. So thank you for giving me the ability in this platform to share my story. And I have 3 other encounters that are ridiculous. Remember, friends, just because we don't understand some things are usually because we are still ignorant and have not the tools yet to understand the mysteries that have purposely been hidden. Often the first sign of ignorance in a human is heightened belligerence. Stay strong for truth and give no quarter. Thank you for all you do, Steve. Amua and aloha. James. That's quite the experience, man. And your buddy, when he was saying, what was that? Did he see something? Did he see something to allude to a large being, or that was a long email, did I miss that myself? I don't think he did allude to what he was seeing when he said, what the F was that, right? Wow. All right, well, man, something's in my eyeball making it water. I don't know what it is. But anyway, who else has had something similar like that happen? And where were you? And if you want and you're here listening and you're kind of apprehensive about sharing that, share it, man. It's okay. This is the safe place. You found your people. Let her rip. You don't even have to share your name. It's all good, man. But if you are out there and you experienced something like this, we want to hear about it. All right? We want to hear the truth. Your truth. That is creepy. Calling in predators at night in the box of a truck is creepy. I did that one time years ago in West Virginia. These guys took me up into the dark. So I don't know where I am. All I know is we're going up these windy roads in the hills in West Virginia into the darkness. And we got out of the truck, up into the back of the truck. They had a recorder with a speaker about that big on top of it. And I forget what gun they had. Nothing serious. I think it was a 243 or 22 Magnum or something. I don't know. I forget. But anyway, pitch black with a red lens on a spotlight. Because apparently the canines, predators can't see the red light spectrum. Anyway, they go to hitting this recording and is blasting out what's it called? Alarmed fox pup sounds or something? Either way, it was just nasty. The sounds coming out of the thing. Into the blackness echoing, right? still night, and it's a very creepy thing to do. And next thing you know, these little red eyeballs, pink, 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 are coming in. Just like that. These foxes would come right up to the truck, and they blast them. And then we go and try other spots. But, you kind of put me there with your experience of what I'm saying. I've been in the box of a pickup doing that. It sounds creepy, but to have all that happen? Holy shit. That's pretty alarming. I don't know if your friend has email, but you might want to send him this video, possibly, right? And it's, in a way, it's kind of reaching out and saying, hey, it really happened. Doesn't mean we don't have to be friends anymore. I guess if you don't want to deal, though, right, it's very effective to not be in contact with whoever you experience the terrifying experience with. Seems to be the common go-to move for a lot of people, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, you got time. Send in your next experience. We want to hear about it. And as well as those fellas that you talk to who's seen these beings, you might want to send them this email too and encourage them to get it out and get it shared. All right? Get it out and get it shared. It helps everyone become smarter, believe it or not, and more. To put it simply, excuse me. All right, one more. Then I'm going to go out and figure out what the hell I'm going to do. My personal true story of seeing Bigfoot. Hello. I've listened to your videos on YouTube and wanted to let you know that I really enjoy hearing your stories. It has compelled me to come forward with my story to share with you. Perfect. Bingo. I used to live in Deerfield on the river subdivision off of Dusty Lane and East Buck Run Road in Dahlonega, Georgia. The neighborhood is off of Highway 9. This area is heavily surrounded by woods, and the Etowah River runs alongside the back of the neighborhood down into a ravine. There are no numbers on houses, no streetlights at night, and the mailboxes are at the top of the road all clustered together. All dirt roads. Google it and look at the topography. There are very steep canyons. I lived there for about 5 years, and during that time I encountered numerous deer and bear. At one time, I had to save my cat, who was sitting still with her tail straight down trying to camouflage herself on top of my grill just outside my kitchen back deck, as a black bear sitting on the side of the embankment was trying to figure out how to get into the trash can that was cornered behind it. I actually opened the door, threw my arms up, and with a deep, loud voice, I screamed at it to get out of here. I scared my cat. She jumped down, ran out of the steps, and the bear stood up and then jumped over my propane tank and took off running downhill into the woods. When the bear stood up, I felt fear and shut the door and leaned up against it on the floor. But I was not going to let anything happen to my cat. I do not scare easily. Now, here's my story. One morning, I was on my way out after my son had left to go to high school. I was going to meet a friend for breakfast. It was during the spring of 2012, so the weather was nice and the foliage was coming in, but not so thick, and you could still see through the woods. I was driving up the hill in the dirt road out of Dusty Lane and turned left onto East Buck Run Road. I drove slowly on this road as it was very rough and bumpy, not a county road, and no one wanted to pay to keep it up. And being disabled with back pain, I always took this road very slow. And as I was approaching the corner, near the top of the road toward Deer Run, where all the mailboxes were located, I saw something that was very large and hairy crouching down behind a tall hardwood tree to my right. I stared at it, trying to see what it was, perhaps a bear, and then noticed it was on 2 legs, and not 4. Its arms and hands were up on the tree. It was very focused on whatever it was staring at, but then it heard me coming and turned its head sideways, but did not look directly at me. It was looking at me through its peripheral vision. For a second, it froze. I don't know if it was hoping I didn't see it, or if it was trying to figure out which way to go. I hit the brakes and came to a complete stop. I could not believe what I was looking at. It was nothing I'd ever seen before. Then it stood up. It was very large. I never saw its face, just the right side profile and the back of its head. What I did see was an enormous butt and legs like tree trunks. Very heavy body, with red and brown hair and what looked to me like a bald head at the top with long hair in the back. I could not tell where the head ended and the shoulders began, no neck. The butt on this thing was very big and it was very muscular. I saw a tremendous amount of dirt being kicked up into a cloud as it leapt. And when I say leapt, I mean, or leaped, I mean 5 to 10 feet per leap. I saw the top of its head was above my neighbor's deck rail, 9 to 10 feet tall. And it leapt over the propane tank, 250-gallon one, and one final leap down into the ravine toward the Etowah River. This was a ravine that was so steep that you would need rope to be lowered down, but it just jumped into the air and was gone in less than 5 seconds. Whatever this thing was, it moved so fast that my eyes could barely follow it. I will tell you this. There would be no way to outrun this thing if you came across it in the woods on foot. No way. My heart was pounding. My mouth was open and I couldn't tell you what I saw. I've lived in Georgia my whole life except when I was in the service and can tell you I've never seen anything like it. The size of it made me tremble. And the strength and speed which it moved was incredible. What scared me was not knowing what it was and its size and strength. The thought in my mind was that whatever it was, it did not want to be seen. It didn't move because I startled it, nor was it afraid of me at all. It did not want to be seen. I sat there for a second in my car trying to process what just happened. What was it doing? What was it looking at so intently that it failed to hear me coming? I started to drive away to the top of the dirt road because it was definitely gone. And as I rounded the corner, I saw the mail truck sitting at the mailboxes and the lady there sifting through the mail before putting it in the boxes. She was totally clueless, had no idea what just happened. Then it occurred to me that it was watching the mail lady intently. That's what it was doing, crouching down and hiding behind a tree. And I came upon it. What struck me as odd was that it didn't appear like it was stalking. It appeared curious and was hiding. That's all. I've never seen it again. I walked around for 2 days still in kind of a shock before I finally told my sister about what I'd seen. And she was very skeptical about it and suggested I might have seen a wild boar, perhaps a bear. And she said they'll stand up on their hind legs to run if startled, but that doesn't explain how it jumped over the propane tank. It was at least 10 feet tall and could crouch down on 2 legs. It might explain how all the dust and dirt was kicked up so much. I've never seen anything like it in my life. It changed me. It changed the way I think. There is more out in the world than we realize. It makes me wonder what else there might be, too. All I know is this happened to me. It was real, and I don't care what anyone thinks. And this is not something you want to be alone with. I started doing research and trying to find anything that looked like what I saw. I still haven't seen anything like it today. I did find a video on YouTube about an officer who was driving near the area with his dash cam on and caught something like it running across the road. What I saw moved the same way this thing in the video did, in leaps and bounds. And there we go. Oh, wow. So there's a video attached. It looks familiar. You guys can look it up. All right. Preview YouTube video number 47 of 82, Georgia Police Dash Cam Bigfoot video. That was the same place. No kidding. That's an old one, isn't it?
Facebook Find Bigfoot. Georgia Police.
Yeah, the Facebook Find Bigfoot page was pretty popular. I actually talked to the guy on the phone years ago. I don't know who it was, still to this day. He said the world would know who he was if he said his real name. Crazy. Yeah, the Jack Barnes dude, whoever that is, I haven't a clue. But anyway, there you go. Wow.
No.